Hello and welcome. I'm Glimo. I'm the Keeper of the Chronicles for this Call of Cthulhu Masks of Nyarlathotep campaign on Roll20 and streaming to Twitch and YouTube. Welcome to session 27, and let's see what insanity is here in Egypt this week. It was a mostly good few weeks for me since our last broadcast. I did another guest star arc on AP Gaming Reel's Battletech show. The day job had been mostly quiet, but then last week I got into a bit of a mess. One of my coworkers and I were doing some upgrades one night at a client site, and we were to the point where literally the file upload takes 2 hours and there's nothing to do but just watch the status bar. So we went to get something to eat and then came back and found out that the supposed 24-hour building access cards we had weren't and couldn't get back in the building. Called my site contact to come out. He says, well, I've got a hard key, no problem, I'll get us in. And the door that his hard key opened was behind a locked door. So, and his badge wasn't working either. Eventually, we got lucky and someone else was coming out of the building, so we were able to get in, and then fortunately, the cards we had did at least get us access to the client's floor. And then found out there was problems with the upgrade, and before you know it, it's 1 a.m., and that was awesome. Yeah. Other than that, glad to be at the end of dry January, just in time to get my liver in shape for Mardi Gras. Other than that, I saw the premiere of Picard last week. It's free on YouTube for some unnamed limited time, so you can, if you want to check it out without having to subscribe to yet another streaming service, it's there for at least a little while. Um, I really liked it, but it felt like super not Star Trek to me. There was a lot more action than in really any of the other Treks. I'm excited to see where they go with it, but I will also probably wait till the whole thing is out and then subscribe to CBS All Access and marathon it all at once. Um, but we'll see. At least that's the current plan. We'll see how long till I break down. How's everybody else doing? Uh, I guess go around. Sean, what's going on in your world?
Well, as I was telling you off camera, I came into a little money, so Chaosium was having a sale with a discount code, so I kind of went a little nuts, and I'm still waiting for the items to clear customs to come to me. But let's just say it's several $100s. I'm upgrading from PDFs to hardcovers, which is always nice. Um, Work-wise, I apparently may be getting a promotion or not. It all depends on how comfortable the owner feels with giving somebody else responsibilities.
Hmm.
Yeah, basically you have to be responsible for on-sites, he goes. Well, we need you to do this. I already do that. We need you to do that. I already do that. So I said, how about a title and some more cash? Which is probably the truer sticking point.
Mm-hmm. Good
The only
luck.
other, yeah, thank you. The only other thing too is that local gaming store is running uh, did a meet and greet, and they're trying to organize players for different game systems for game masters and players. And I went originally as a player, but there wasn't enough game masters, so I volunteered and started running a D&D game. So I'm going to be doing that. Apparently, they're going to pay us back in store credit, which will be cool. I've offered if they can get in the Colosseum starter box set that I'm going to run some Call of Cthulhu.
Spread the madness.
Absolutely.
Very cool. George, what's going on with you?
Oh, mostly the same. Been busy with work and other than that, my Patriots were bounced in the first round unceremoniously by the
Mm-hmm.
Titans. But I feel less bad because they beat uh, the Ravens, who I thought were the best team in the playoffs. But uh, apparently, Kansas City figured out how to play them. So, and other than that, uh, not much. It's just kind of same old, same old.
Very good. Yeah, my Saints similarly got robbed in the first round. I was in the dome when it happened, and we were all really, really, really happy until they took that last touchdown off the board. And yeah, Bill, what's going on with you?
It's been kind of the same old thing. It was, Super Bowl. Um, the day job is keeping me busy. Um, visiting Isla tonight with Abuna Haben 12,
Nice.
which is actually really nice. I'm enjoying that one quite a bit. Uh, but yeah, it's been pretty much the same old, same old. Families doing their thing. We started kids archery yesterday, so they're back in their archery classes and enjoying that.
Cool. Oren, what's going on in your world?
I just got done doing a presentation at an educational expo, and just getting ready for state testing that starts this week.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
All right. Remembers what happened last episode.
Well, if I remember correctly, we got to Cairo.
Yep.
We tried to talk to the newspaper editor and kind of got moved along, him being fearful of a couple things we said. Then we went to the museum and we got a load of information, and we're supposed to meet him tonight for dinner at the hotel. And I think we're planning to take him up to the room to show him some of the materials we have book-wise, because he's offered to kind of share the information. And I do believe we found out something about a missing mummy, if I remember correctly.
There's
Yes.
also a Dutch national we're trying to contact.
Right, a Dutch national. But what's really that somehow um, the group from the foundation, Penyu Foundation, had a mummy stolen from them and maybe other artifacts. So I'm really curious about who or what this mummy is, and um, so I know for the next day we have planned around 2 or 3 o'clock to go with the guide to try to find this merchant. And now I'm thinking, if things work well with the museum guy, we may be doing some research in the morning about this mummy. What is this mummy or who it was? And
Well, he already told you that.
oh, he
So
did. I wasn't sure if you had. I don't remember.
yes, so he told you that the Clive expedition had their mummy stolen, uh, and that he has no doubt that it is the mummy of Queen Nitocris. You also heard the same thing from your friend at the Cairo Bulletin before you pissed him off and for the third time asked about the Black Pharaoh, uh, the brother of the Black Pharaoh, after he told you please don't talk about that, and so he threw you out. But he did also confirm that information to you.
Okay.
Right. And we also got some information about Nafra Ka, the sorcerer, possibly buried in the Bent Pyramid secret chamber.
Yes.
And I had read about that previously in My Life as a God.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm thinking we
and
definitely went.
and that Nefren Ka became basically the synonymous with the Black Pharaoh, and that the Black Pharaoh was known by many names, including Nyarlathotep.
And the demon Sultan Azathoth.
So it seems to me like we have two really good things to research in the morning, after our dinner, before we do a whole bunch of attempted shopping and finding this merchant later that tomorrow afternoon. At least that's my thought.
Sounds right to me.
Okay. So you were heading back when we broke a few weeks ago. We're all heading back to the hotel.
To have dinner with the doctor from the museum.
Yes, although he was not going to be able to join you for a few hours. So you have a
Right.
few hours of downtime in which to contemplate some things. When you get back, Lewis, the concierge, tells you that a telegram came for you. It's a very short message. It only says tomorrow, 8 a.m., hotel lobby.
Okay. Thank you. And I make sure that I have while I'm right there at the concierge, knowing how long it takes me to get up, I make sure that he gives me a ring at like 7 in the morning so I can make sure I'm down at the lobby.
Very good, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything that anyone would like to do before we skip ahead to dinner?
Not me.
I'm probably going to freshen up since we've been out most of the day.
Okay.
Just standard stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. Then I will skip ahead. So around 7 o'clock, you are met by Dr. Kafour and the group of you meet in the lobby and head over to the hotel restaurant. And you have a nice dinner. Dr. Kafour does quietly warn you on the way in that it's best to speak of inconsequential things out in public. That you never know who's
This weather is
listening
very
in
hot.
who's listening in Cairo.
Yes, it's very hot out here. It's amazing, people tell you this, but you never understand it till you experience it.
Okay. So you listen to him and don't talk about anything too exciting over dinner.
Just like shops that you would buy curios at, and what to avoid, and um, um, how is life in Cairo and um, other areas of Egypt. Very light. Maybe talking about some possible, going. We've heard so much about the various um, pyramids and digs and sites that we'll probably check some out. But not giving any specifics, more like like a typical tourist.
Very good, very good. And he keeps up the tourist banter. Okay, and afterwards you go up to your rooms.
Yes, and we'll open up the cognac and the cigars and you know, typical men's night.
Perfect. He says to you, I heard that you had some things that you wanted me to look at.
Mm-hmm. Well, we get to the room and we go ahead and show him some of the books we have right off the bat.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that you want him to look at?
Well, let's take a look here. Let me get out my list. Let's see. Well, definitely we would show him the life as a god. I'm quite sure that might interest him since it deals with uh, Egypt, I do believe. Probably Africa's dark sex, since he had mentioned some stuff. This might help him confirm some of the stuff he already had been telling us. And I mean, I don't have a problem with showing him the rest of it. I'm just saying as a couple examples. The selections de Live de Avon.
Let me take a look and see what. What languages does this guy speak?
We got one in French, one in English, two in English. I think someone had something in Latin.
Okay, he speaks a lot of languages. Let's see. What's his sanity? Mm-hmm. Okay.
As you see, I have my little list here of books.
So, he's, looking through what you have, and the two that he seems most interested in for himself are Life as a God and Amongst the Stones.
Okay.
I've read them both already. They're quite interesting.
Now, you might want to have a bracing drink with you when you do read them.
Do you,
I am going to show him the one thing I took. I said, this is something else I acquired. And I show him the two curled, the cane things, the, not ankhs, but, the Egyptian, like, where you cross them.
the scepters?
Yeah, the scepters.
Yes, I found the trappings of the queen amongst the stones to be quite mesmerizing.
Okay.
And we talk a little bit more honestly here. I said, it seems to me that we may want to, take you up on your looking through your books, because I'm really curious about not only this queen you mentioned, find out more about her and what that could potentially mean. Because I suspect something nefarious up with that. But my comrade here did some that there was a interesting figure buried in the bent pyramid. Nephra Ka or something like that.
Yes, that's what we talked about the last time that earlier today when you were at the museum.
I'm kind of curious to see what the connection is between Nephra Ka and this queen.
As far as I know, there isn't one. They were several hundred years apart.
Mm. Yeah, but if the Pennu Foundation and Clive was into this, that means that the organization we've talked about has a definite interest in this queen. Now, whether it was someone else that took it or them scurrying it away, I don't know. But there had to be a rhyme and reason for them wanting it.
Well, that I couldn't tell you, but all I can tell you is that there was half a millennia between Nitocris and Nitocris coming to power and the Black Pharaoh ending his reign and being and his body being imprisoned in the pyramid by Sneferu.
Hmm. Gentlemen, do we wish to show them some of the other stuff we have?
Yeah, I think you can peruse the items that we've collected, and I'd also like to hear some more about how Nephra Ka was trapped in the pyramid. I think that would be kind of an interesting story on how it was managed to be done. It sounded like he was quite powerful.
So I do believe we show him a headband and a carved scepter, the stuff we found in an ornate chest with the 2 silver daggers, and I do believe a mask. Yeah.
So the other things he doesn't recognize right off, and he says that he would need to spend quite a bit of time doing research unless you can tell him something about it to get him started. But he doesn't recognize the things right away. But let's see how lucky he is.
Yeah, I particularly show him the carved scepter since it does seem to have possibly Egyptian hieroglyphs on it.
Well, he looks that over and says, well, these are definitely are not Egyptian. They're they are a pictographic language. It's similar to Egyptian. He says he believes that the runes translate to Nyambe, thy power mine. I will stick that in the chat so that you have the spelling. He says he believes it's a Western and Southern African name for the supreme god.
Okay. I'll give him what information I do know about the mask.
Which is,
The one with the 4 faces.
and what information are you giving him?
That allows just what it's made of. I think you had hinted at something, but I can't remember what it is.
One of the faces was the
Yeah, that's it.
enemy of the
Of
Black Pharaoh.
Mhm.
Looking for the name here somewhere in my notes, I think.
So, yes, he looks this over and recognizes that they're depictions of the 4 outer gods, and he points to one of the faces and says, "This, as I told you earlier today, this is the face of the supreme mad god Azathoth." This over here is the face of Nodens. I don't recognize the other 2 faces right off, but I'm sure that I definitely know that they are members of the outer god pantheon.
That's very interesting.
As we smoke and drink cigars, and he peruses some of the books, and we're chit-chatting back and forth. I tell him I don't think we have any issue if you borrowing the 2 books you're interested in. I know that we're interested in doing some maybe doing some further research on this queen, and also doing some further research on Neferka. Is there anything else we want to do further research on?
He says, "Well, I've given you the summary of what I know."
It never hurts to do some actual serious. You know how books are. Sometimes you have to glean them to get some information out of them.
What in particular can I help you with? And maybe I can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, well, we're trying this queen. We want to find out what more about her history. What is possibly the myths behind her? What people think was she was capable of doing, or what a lot of times when with these type of people, there's what they'll do beyond death, that type of stuff.
There's very little recorded information. She was, most of her, if you're not familiar with the pharaohs and some of their ways, successive pharaohs would often completely obliterate all the works of previous pharaohs, and most of the information about her was either destroyed by her successors or just has been lost to the sands of time in the almost 4,000 years that it's been since her rule. She ruled at about in the 6th dynasty, which is about 2500 BCE.
Okay.
So there's not a whole lot that's left. What little we know is that she was considered a fearsome ruler. There are some rumors that she tried to start a new cult of the Black Pharaoh, although the proof of that is highly subjective and a subject of much debate. Uh, I'd say that most scholars disbelieve that.
Hmm.
Do you know of any um, records about the excavation of the pyramid that happened to uncover what was suspected to be her mummy? Was there any documentation or maybe some relics that came out of there in a local museum that we could check out?
So the strange thing is that that pyramid has been uh, it's one of the pyramids at Giza, and it's been uh, fully excavated for almost 100 years, and was frankly largely looted by bandits before uh, the English got their hands on it. So the fact that the Clive expedition claims to have found this mummy is alarming in the first place. Um,
Well, maybe that's someplace to check. Maybe go to. Is the Clive expedition still in Giza?
no,
Hmm. That might be something to check out. Would it be possible to check out that former the dig they were doing in Giza?
it is something that you could do. It would take you a while to get out there,
Mhm.
and I'd highly recommend that you bring a guide with you.
All right,
Um,
then we'll set that up. Would we need any special permissions or?
it's a
Um,
fairly open tourist attraction.
all right. Well, I just wanted to make sure because we're new here, and as they say, do like the when in Rome, do as Romans do, or when in Egypt, do as the Egyptians do. And we just want to make sure that we act appropriately. Okay. Um, also, tomorrow we're going to be in the afternoon. We have a guide to help us. We're trying to find a man that was mentioned by our friend Elias Thomas that had made contact with the Carlisle expedition. There's two people we're trying to find. One is a merchant named Faraz Najjar, who supposedly has a shop on the Street of Jackals. And then there we have set up with the Dutch embassy trying to find a M. Warren Bazart.
Yes, you'd mentioned Mr. Bassart to me when you were
Mhm.
in earlier today. Um,
Supposedly, this Faraz Najjar is some type of merchant of antiquities, and at least from what Elias's papers indicated that why he was in contact with the Carlisle expedition.
I can tell you that there are a number of unscrupulous people who claim to have access to artifacts. Some of them are just peddling junk. Some of them are actually stealing from museums or private collections or dig sites and smuggling things out. Either way, I would tell you to be cautious in trusting anyone who
Oh, I
claims to
agree.
be
I, I
selling
suspect.
artifacts.
Yeah, we just have to run down the leads we have. It might be nothing, and that's happened to all of us here. And sometimes it leads to a little bit more. So we'll probably have to check it out anyway. But we will be on our guard. Um, if you can find out where the Clive expedition is, that would be useful. We may want to talk to some of them. Um, Maybe some of their members can be talked to. Um,
So I might be able to find the gentleman I told you about earlier today, Jan Wilhelm von Hoevelen, who was let go by the Clive expedition.
yes. Yeah,
Uh,
you did mention that. Thank you for reminding me. I would like to talk to him. I am curious. What is his reputation? I mean, it seems strange that they would let someone go. And was this done before the find or after the find?
Afterwards,
Hmm.
I think that they were using him as a scapegoat. But as far as I know, he was fired, um, and is still hasn't been able to raise passage home, and I believe is still somewhere in somewhere here in Cairo. But I can ask around and see what I can find out.
Yes, if you could. Now, have I mixed my information up there? For some reason, I'm thinking that's the guy that the Dutch embassy is looking for,
No,
not
this is yes. So Jan Wilhelm was the guy you were talking to the Dutch
the
embassy
embassy
about.
about. Right. All right. I got confused. We're still looking for this other guy as well. All right. Yeah, if you could find out more for us, that'd be good. Um, we'll try to. We're not planning to mention your name or anything about you to anyone we meet. And between your conversation and the our newspaper man, we'll be mentioning nothing more about um, that which should remain unnamed. Um, and But we will continue. If you find out anything that will help us, lead wise, that'd be great. If we discover anything about either the from the Dutch guy or anything else, we'll inform you.
Very good.
I think that we are both concerned about the same things, and but you are the one that has to live here. So we will be very careful about what names we use and whose foot we get noticed of.
Very good. Yes. Let me take these couple of books and look them over, and if you have anything else that you would that you'd
I
like
found the
help
list of
with.
yeah. I found a couple other things. The other books was the Equinox Diverse, Book of Dazan, Liber of Anis, and Song of the Jinn, which is in Arabic, by the way. So that might have some interest to him. And if he can kind of identify these blades we have, the two daggers we have that seem to be of occult nature, maybe you can find out a little bit more about them. And I give him as much information of how we found them, what they were in, so he has a better idea if he does some research.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very well. Well, I can take a look at these daggers for you, and see if I can find any information out.
So it sounds like tomorrow morning we have. I said, "Is there anything, gentlemen? Anything else we? I mean, seems that there's not really a whole lot of research we can do on this queen. What about Neferka? Is there anything we can find out about Neferka in the morning? I'm talking to our doctor friend. Um, any place we could do some research on that without raising too many eyebrows?
Oh, you'll definitely raise a lot of eyebrows if you bring that up. But
All right, then I'll stay away from that then.
But I've told you the information that you need to know.
All right, then it looks like tomorrow morning we're a little bit free for some stuff because I don't believe we can get to. Well, we could set up stuff to trips to the site. What do you think, gentlemen? You know, the site that the Clive expedition left. Check out where this queen was supposedly buried.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely need to make it out to Giza
Yeah, all right.
sooner rather than later.
And I think that might be the best bet. Tomorrow morning, set up like for in the next couple days to head to Giza, maybe with our guide, if it's possible, or set up if he can't do it, another guide.
Very well.
No, and I said, you know, it's good to meet like minds, you know, and we do appreciate you giving us good advice and help along these lines.
Well, thank you for sharing the information with me, and I will definitely, I would say, come to me as soon as you find out any information.
Well, we'll be careful when we do so too, because we're going to be checking up behind our backs. We don't want anyone noticing us and following us, seeing you, and us getting you in trouble. So far, we've been lucky of not being noticed yet. So let's keep it that way.
Very good. All right, gentlemen. Well, I bid you good night.
Good night. I'll shake his hands, and we probably I assume it's hot out there. We have fans on, and we probably have the windows a little bit open to air out the smoky room.
It's
correct?
March, so it's
it's cold. Yeah.
only it's only highs in the maybe 70s.
Right. Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, we had the big windows open. It's gorgeous at this time of year.
Okay. So that is it for the night. You wake up on Wednesday, March 11th.
I go downstairs. In the lobby, do they have a little cafe or?
Yes.
Yes, I will be in the lobby and having a typical European, coffee and like a little pastry. Um, and I'll have a Belgian newspaper next to me as I simply sip and crowd watch.
Excellent. So after a few minutes, a gentleman comes up to your table and in a crisp British accent asks if he can join you.
Why, of course, everybody is welcomed in Cairo.
So he sits down and says, "Making waves already, are you, Lewis?"
Well, not too many, I hope. Though I suspect that I might have bounced one of your assets a little.
Yes, Nigel is one of ours.
Yes, well, I got his message, and I have not made any more commentary about certain things.
He says, I'll try to smooth things over, but you definitely don't want Nigel on your bad side. He's very connected, not only in this city, but throughout. He is one of Her Majesty's people.
Oh, I agree. And tell him my apologies and that I appreciate his bluntness.
Excellent.
lesson learned. And I do believe I had kind of given some information to these guys of what I was checking out, correct?
In very rough terms.
Yes. Yeah. And I say, there's a couple people I'm trying to hunt down or get some more information about. And I mention Najir, I mention Barat, and I do believe I mention need to find out some information, but very quietly, just what is known about Omar El Shakti. I mean, and I don't write that. I just write. I give him a list. I just say, and I underline that name too. And I go with careful. I don't say it out loud. I just say all these are on a piece of paper. These are people, and that one. Be careful.
He says, "Well, the last one is an upstanding businessman in the city, so
So
we'll
were
have
certain people at the Penn Foundation.
you'll have a lot of difficulty if you start going down that road."
I agree, and I'd rather know what you folks know than me looking around.
And then he says, on the other ones, I don't know the names.
No,
Bassart
but if you
sounds
find it,
like it's French. You may check with the French embassy if you're having trouble finding him.
yes, I've already started looking at various embassies because I'm looking for a former Clive member that I've checked with the Dutch embassy about.
Hmm.
Um, and in fact, it might be interesting to find out a little bit more of where the Clive expedition is now.
Well, didn't you get that information from your newspaper man friend already?
Well, out of character, I don't remember if he did or didn't, but it's been several weeks. But assuming if he did, then yes, I do. Then fair
Yes,
enough.
he gave you some newspaper clippings
All right.
about the Clive expedition,
Mm-hmm.
so you
Yeah.
you know where they have moved on to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I say, well, I'm just slowly checking what I found out in England and slowly backtracking to see how um, dangerous this what I discovered is amongst the colonies. Hopefully, it's nothing, but you understand that sometimes these things have to check out. Last thing we need is issues in the jewels of the crown.
Yes, quite. All right, so well, good hunting, and get in touch through normal means if anything comes up. I'll see if we can
And I
find
will,
anything else for you.
if anything comes up that I find out, I will leave it at the usual drop.
Perfect.
And yes, tell the our Nigel that I do apologize. I do sometimes get a little blunt.
Very good.
All right. And you take care. I shake his hand, and um, I finish my breakfast. Then I go back upstairs.
What is everybody else doing while all this is going on?
Probably still waking up and enjoying dreamland while I'm recovering.
Oh, I know something I can do. I'm gonna go to the concierge and check when the guide is free again, or if that particular guide we have helping us today also helps out in Giza.
He could certainly take you out to Giza, but you'd have to book him for a whole day, as it's
Not a
an
problem.
hour each way.
When
Uh,
is when is he going to be free again, and how? And so I can then set up transportation to Giza.
so if you wanted him for a full day, The soonest that we could probably do that would be Saturday.
which is how many days away?
Today is Wednesday.
So basically in 3 days. So I will set it up for a trip on Saturday to Giza.
Very good.
And that gives us a couple days to possibly find out some other things. All right, that sounds good. And I will make the payment arrangements for the transportation now, since a lot of times that's through the hotel.
We can certainly set that up. I mean, you just take the tram from down the street and it
Yeah.
goes out there.
I take care of payments and I make sure to give him a nice tip.
Thank you, sir. Very good, sir.
No, thank you. You have made this a very enjoyable trip. And I head upstairs. And I will inform our crew that it looks like we will be able to get out to Giza on Saturday. So I've arranged for a guide and transportation there. If that works for you, that gives us several days here to check out some leads, because we still have to check out the Dutch embassy. And now that we've heard about the French embassy in this Bernard, we could probably check there too. Maybe even this morning. At least put a bug in someone's ear that we're looking for this fresh French national. Maybe they'll know some information that we don't.
Did we set up an appointment for the Dutch embassy or not? I can't remember.
I do believe we did, or we asked them about that, and they said to come by. I just don't remember when.
Yeah, I think that was today.
Yeah,
I think it was the
They-
following day.
Yeah, they said that you could come by any morning.
so we could do that this morning. That's an excellent idea. Then hitch the French embassy, ask about the other guy, and then in the afternoon, our guide can take us to go artifact hunting and try to attempt to find this merchant on the Street of Jackals.
Okay.
Okay, so next stop would be the Dutch embassy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You head over to the Dutch embassy.
Greetings.
Yes. Hello. What can
Yes,
I do for you today?
Yes, we're looking for one of your nationals. I do believe he was let go from the Clive expedition. We were interested in getting his services as a translator of various texts and books, since we had heard, or along those lines.
Make a persuade roll.
All right, let me get to my character. Da, da, da. All right, Lewis. That's Mendoza, not. Here I was looking at Lewis. That's the last person I want to roll at persuade on, if I remember correctly. All right. Persuade. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yes, I made it.
You did. All right. So they tell you that they have not heard from Jan Wilhelm in some time, but that the last information that they did have from him was that he was employed by the Clive expedition. But as you say, the Clives did send them notice that they had left, that Jan Wilhelm had left their service. They do not have a current address for him, but they do say that if you want to fill out a telegram blank and leave it with them, should he contact the embassy, they'll happily pass the message along.
And I fill one out saying, "Your services as a translator of ancient texts are needed, and and I leave my name and with the hotel I'm staying at, that we're interested in hiring him."
Okay. Very good.
And I thank the embassy for being so efficient and dedicated to helping not only their own nationals but people who come asking questions.
Yes, it's the fabled Dutch efficiency.
Yes. Well, they're next to Belgium. They're a good neighbor.
All right.
And then we head to the French embassy.
The French embassy. Okay.
Which probably is in the same block.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, all of the embassies are kind of in that old
same
European
in Tunisia,
section.
Same in other places. Been to the area in Tunisia.
So, what is your strategy at the French embassy?
Kind of the same. I'm going to say that we have I'd heard that one of their nationals was in the country, and then he had been useful for various expeditions, and we were interested in his services if he was still around.
Okay. Make either a charm or persuade roll.
All right, that's why I figured it would be either persuade or charm. Let's see. Let's get to it, which would be easier. No, same dice roll, so might as well do the persuade.
Fail.
Nope. All right, no, horrible fail. Just wasn't able to get them to do it. Oh well.
So
I will break out my charming.
So you can. I was gonna say you can either spend 10 luck, or you're gonna try to charm the pants off this.
Well, they are French. I could try intimidation because that seems to be very. But I will go with my charming nature
okay.
and try to convince the.
Oh God! Oh.
All right, I'm gonna be in the French Foreign Legion or something, and
they kick us out.
Yeah.
So
they show us the door.
Lewis is, not terribly convincing, and Alistair, you kind of come in and start trying to, be the loud, angry American, and they are just not having any of it, and very firmly ask you to leave.
And I do leave my card in case they do hear from them. And I apologize for my loud American friend, and I leave.
You'll be hearing from my attorney.
And I also apologize. And since I can speak French, well, Americans.
It's okay, Bill. What? It's okay, Alistair. Once we get out the building, some Americans are loved, but the French are a little different.
They're touchy about the mayonnaise on their French fries.
Okay. Are you doing anything else before you meet up with your friendly neighborhood Dragomon to head down to...
Probably just some lunch, since it probably took us a couple hours to do all that and get back. That probably took, what, an hour?
Took you a little while,
2 hours?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'd probably be lunchtime. We probably want to make sure we're well hydrated too. Even though it is March, the air is still dry. So yeah, we're gonna have a nice lunch.
Okay. You have lunch. You meet up with your dear friend Salim. If I can get my.
And I will inform Salim that if the hotel hasn't informed already, that we have requested his services for Giza on Saturday, and that I have set up the transportation already.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it.
So are we. We have heard so many things about Giza.
Yes, you want to take a tour of the pyramids and the Sphinx?
Yes, and we're particularly interested in where the Clive expedition had been doing some um, interesting work until they had that unfortunate um, mummy go missing. That is
Ah,
just
you've
exciting.
heard all the local gossip then. Yes, yes,
Oh,
certainly we can
oh yeah. It's interesting. It's fresh.
take you out to the smallest of the Great Pyramids and show you the whole area.
That would be excellent. Thank you so kindly. By the way, have you made sure that you have been refreshed as well?
Yes, yes, I'm
Oh,
ready for us to set out.
excellent, excellent. And um, we attempt to find this Najir, this merchant of antiquities, on Jackal Street.
So he takes you to the Street of Jackals. It takes about half an hour for you to get out there. Unfortunately, once you find the street, uh, you find the remains of Faraz Najir's former shop. It is a burned out, rubble strewn hole in the ground.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
as you are standing around, you notice that as people uh, pass the shop, uh, they seem to invoke Allah's name and hurriedly
hmm.
step onward.
Okay. Salim, could you find out from one of the shop neighbors of what had happened to this place, or what had happened to
And when?
and when?
He says, I can, but it might take a little bit of
I
bribe
understand.
money if.
And I hand him some currency, probably a little bit more than he needs.
Very good. So he goes into a couple of shops and speaks with a few people. Um, so he says the story going around is that 5 or 6 years ago, a hideous demon uh, descended on the shop and set it aflame. And since then, everyone believes that the shop is cursed and no one will rebuild or open anything there.
Understandable. And what happened to the owner?
Um, Faraz survived but was horribly burned. He's since opened a new shop in Khan el Khalili. That's an ancient marketplace off Shaira al Muiz.
Well, why don't we head there then? That way we can um, find merchandise he may have and brighten his day after such a horrific incident.
By the way, is there an official story? Because surely that's not what the police or fire department says happened.
He says you're certainly welcome to talk to the police, but the police station's back towards your hotel. It'd be a bit out of the way.
No, I understand.
The other thing that I could recommend if you're really interested is perhaps go to one of the newspapers and see if you can browse their archives for back issues from 5, 6 years ago and see if you can find anything there.
Ooh, time to put the library into use.
Yes. Thank you, Salim. Shall we head to this where we think the shop owner is now?
Yes, yes.
It's not too out of the way, is it?
Well, it is a bit of a walk, but it'll be about another
Shall we
40.
take a taxi then?
Uh, even with taxi and tram, it's gonna be a good 20, 30 minutes for us to get
All
over
right.
to the
Well,
other side of town.
there's no reason for you or us to overexert ourselves, so we will take a tram and taxi over there.
Very good.
And I'm going to keep an eye out, just to make sure that we're not being followed or.
Okay. Make a spot hidden roll.
Okay. Not that I don't trust anyone, I just don't trust them. I'm tired of Luis Mendoza having the same name I do. I keep on looking for mine. I see Mendoza, and I'm like,
You can hide the earlier
Ooh,
extreme.
oh yeah. I'm like,
So you've definitely seen, as you're wandering back, you do notice that you've seen the same face a couple of times.
same face.
Let me guess. It's probably on the at the newspaper.
Now, have I seen this several times today, or have I seen
Today,
it before?
yes.
Today. Does it seem to be able to follow us in the tram and the taxi, or did we lose it?
He
during
does
the
seem to be to still, as you have gotten off the tram. You see him getting off a couple of cars behind you.
All right. I will inform my friends. And they go, yeah, there are. Isn't it amazing how many eyes there are, and how many? It's amazing how they like to look at people around here. So filled with people, and
So what time do you say?
I give him the time of the direction the guy is at this time point.
Okay.
I make sure not to be look in that direction.
And just making everybody aware that we are being followed.
Okay.
Except for Salam. He I don't want him knowing without, I'm just going, that's why I'm kind of saying it the way I am. When we get off at the taxi, does it seem like we're still being followed by my,
So you don't see him right away after you get off from the taxi. He doesn't seem to have been able to get a cab
to follow
right behind
us.
to follow you right behind. But you're not sure. You're not sure if you gave him the slip or if he's just a little bit further behind.
Then we're going to try to find the shop right away and go in so that he doesn't see where we went. If he's a bit behind us.
By the way, is he European, Egyptian?
Appears to be Egyptian.
Yeah, I say. Yes. Many Egyptians. And so we're going to quickly go into the shop and go deep into the shop if it's possible, so he can't see us right away. And we're going to start perusing the wares.
So you, in the midst of a dozen pottery shops, is a door and window clearly marked Faraz Najir in Arabic, Curios in English, and Magasin des Antiques in French.
All right. we go in and make sure we shut the door.
Several stories of tenements tower above. Pushing open the door reveals a store packed full of merchandise, which Najar handles alone. Curtain door towards the rear of the premises is at the rear of the premises. It appears to be mostly a tawdry souvenir shop. And let me get a token up for my dear friend here. There he is. Okay, so.
Love it.
Okay, so Najar hovers expectantly over you, encouraging you to examine his magnificent and ancient wares more closely, all the while attempting to keep his scarred face turned away from you.
Yes, I do take a look at his stuff. What I'm looking for is stuff that I know it has some value at least. Is any of our members in this group have any knowledge of antiquities?
Alistair definitely does.
Yes, I do.
I will have
Yes.
Alexander, peruse and find some stuff that is useful. But while I'm really looking, and I go over to Alexander and kind of tell him let's rack up a little bit of a bill here to and pay for some stuff to wet this guy's whistle before we ask him anything else.
So it's all junk. It's highly touristy tchotchkes. So there's nothing at all useful in this shop.
Well, then I will pick up some of the more expensive tchotchkes, like some rugs, some things I would know some extended family of mine would like, even if it's not antiquities and that type of stuff.
Shake them down, and say, "Where's the good stuff?"
Well, I do ask about anything that is anything that is a little bit more panache, but I will pick up some stuff. What I'm really trying to do is just pick some stuff up so I'm willing to pay some cash for some stuff and pay for it, and then I can see if I can use that after purchasing it of offering something else for information. So
okay,
I'll pick up some rugs. I'll put out a good, decent bill that would be making a merchant like this very happy.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen. Yes, you've got quite an eye here. So many nice things you have here. Oh, yes.
So you can have these delivered to.
Out of curiosity, from our knowledge before, would the shop, this is kind of what we expected in the shop run by this guy, or might the fire have taken a toll on him? So that this is the best type of merchandise he can offer these days.
I mean, you don't really know what he was up to before. Your only mention of him was that one line in a telegram. So, you know that at one point he was the actual thing. It's Carlisle paper. It's America's One. So the only thing that you know about him is that Warren Bassart had told Carlisle that that Faraz claimed to be in possession of singular curios which he believed would be of great interest. You have no idea what those were, if they were valuable, if or anything else really. That's the only thing you know, and that uh, Jackson Elias had this note in his possession when he was murdered. You don't even really know how Jackson got his hands on this note.
I pay up to have it delivered. And then I go, I have some more bills in my hand. I go, I did have a hard time finding you. You had been a name given to me.
And he kind of cocks his head a little bit. Up to this point, he's been extremely ingratiating, and now he's starting to look at you a little suspiciously and says, "Given to you from whom?"
A friend of ours named Elias Jackson.
I've never heard that name before.
An American writer.
American writer. He was. I said, I don't want to alarm you, and we have, no thing to harm you. In fact, he had been doing some research on the, and as I said, and this is information that I said he was doing some research on the Carlisle expedition.
So as soon as you mention the words Carlisle expedition, his eyes bulge and he begins to splutter and choke.
I go,
and
it's okay.
Tells you, get the hell out, get out of my shop. Get out.
Can I use my persuade or charm?
You can try, yes.
I will attempt to do so because I'm trying to be as calm and I hopefully I can convince him that I understand that he may have some issues. I'll use my persuade since that's.
Can I assist with a charm?
No, well, actually, I will spend the 2 points there to make it at least a success.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remain calm. I'm being polite. I'm a very small, diminutive man too. So this guy it towers over me, and I'm.
So between the money and your calming words, he still doesn't look happy. But after much hemming and hawing, he eventually invites you to meet with him later at the nearby Al Hussein Mosque, where you can talk more freely.
Excellent. I said, I leave the cash on the table. I said, only one other request. Do you have a back door? We don't want anyone knowing that we came in here or left here.
He says that's probably for the best.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking, because I wish no harm upon you or anyone else.
So he says,
when shall we meet?
Meet me at the mosque at 5. And he pulls aside the curtain which leads into his living quarters. And there's a back door. It's a somewhat squalid space. And there's a back door behind there that leads to an alley behind the building. And
we take Salim with us out
perfect.
There. Salim is probably going, what the?
Salim is very confused as to what has just happened. So
I go to Salim and say, just so you're aware, I've noticed that we were being followed possibly by some thieves. Same person kept on showing up when we were walking on the tram, and I think they tried to take a taxi to follow us. Um, so that's why I requested to go out the back door. I don't want any harm to happen to. I don't want, we're foreign tourists. There's people always trying to take advantage of people. Um, and I don't want this poor shopkeeper or you to be harmed.
he says, I understand your caution. This is not the best of neighborhoods.
No, it is not.
Um, I can my my time with you is up at 5, but I can, and it's about a little after 4 right now. He says, but I'll take you over to the mosque, so at least you're at
Yes,
the right
that would be
place.
excellent. I would appreciate that. And then you can quickly, and then he can quickly show us where we would catch a tram or a taxi to get back to the hotel.
Yes, so he takes you by a more circuitous route over to the mosque. The mosque is near to another tram line, and he says you should be able to take this tram fairly readily back to the hotel afterwards.
And I give him a very decent, a hefty tip.
Thank you, sir. That's not
Yeah.
necessary, but thank you.
No, it is because you have done more than exquisitely. And we will wait. Then we will meet our friend at 5 p.m.
Very good. So,
And it says, well, I guess after he leaves, I say, I guess the game's afoot, as a famous um, character from English literature would say.
The foot is a hand, and the hand is the finger.
Well, we seem to have been noticed. I was hoping we wouldn't.
okay. I'm gonna say let's take our break here. This seems like a good stopping point for the moment. Carl just texted me, so he should be able to join us after the break. So let's plan on 10 minutes. Come back around 9:35, and we'll hopefully do the second half.
Excellent.
Those of you
Sounds good.
watching live, enjoy the break music, and we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Da, 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 da.